Just when we thought free agency was over with pretty much all the big names off the board, we get hit with the curveball when it comes to DeAndre Jordan, who was having second thoughts about joining the Mavericks, which led to a meeting between DeAndre Jordan, Doc Rivers, Paul Pierce, Chris Paul, and others. And it also started an emoji war between those same players, along with Chandler Parsons of the Mavericks, which all the whole NBA got into. So if you love male soap opera, this NBA free agency is that in a nutshell. The meeting between DJ and the Clippers, I heard, was emotional, especially between him and Chris Paul. ESPN's Chris Broussard reported that an emotional CP3 told DJ he had no idea he felt negatively towards him and he thought the two were brothers. And they are also reporting that there were tears in DeAndre's eyes during the meeting. So it's clear as day that the Clippers are where DeAndre's heart is and was. He probably just didn't feel wanted by the Clippers because when he had his meeting with them prior, there were no teammates from the Clippers there. And there are also reports that DeAndre Jordan had called Doc Rivers on Monday expressing that he was having second thoughts about joining Dallas. So this saga began on Monday, and I can understand why Mark Cuban is livid right now, but honestly, I could care less. DeAndre Jordan didn't break any rules, and I'm always in favor of the players over the owners. And Mark Cuban, you're a shrewd, successful business owner. Realize that you just lost out. This is what happens in business. Welcome back to the Best Damn Sports Blog. Back again to talk NBA free agency because we have a dramatic situation that has taken place. DeAndre Jordan has in fact spurned the Mavericks and has re-signed with the Clippers for a 4-year, $84 million deal. And I just want to say I did not see this one coming. I thought DeAndre Jordan was for sure headed to Dallas, joining a Mavericks team where he would be more of a focal point. But instead, DeAndre Jordan has had a change of heart and is headed back to the LA Clippers. And if I was a Dallas Mavericks fan, I would probably be upset right about now. So I have no problems with the Dallas Mavericks fans being upset at DeAndre Jordan, hating the Clippers, as well as dogging DeAndre Jordan, calling him a coward and all those other such words of that nature. I understand where they're coming from because they thought DeAndre had indeed joined the Mavericks. It was reported that he agreed to terms with the Mavericks. So I understand why the fans are upset. I can even understand why Mark Cuban is upset. But who is most at fault for DeAndre Jordan spurning the Mavericks is actually the NBA. There is no reason for free agency to start on July 1st, but the players cannot sign until July 9th. That alone leaves the door open for players to renege on their deals. So I expect a rule change from the NBA following this because we know Mark Cuban isn't going to let this one go silently. But I just don't understand what is the point of the moratorium period in the NBA free agency. Players should have to sign on the dotted line when they agree to join a team. And it's really that simple. In the NBA, there's no explanation they can come up with, for me at least, that would justify this moratorium period. I don't get it at all. And now the Mavs have missed out. But this is not unprecedented. Just a few years ago, Hedo Turkoglu spurned the Blazers to join the Toronto Raptors. Antonio McDyess has also done it in the past as well. And I believe Elton Brand. So DeAndre Jordan is not the first to do so. And I just want to say, me personally, I don't have any problem with the decision that DeAndre Jordan made. He wanted to go back to the Clippers. He didn't sign a contract on the dotted line with the Mavericks. So in my eyes, he did nothing wrong. And I'm always going to side with the players. That's just me personally because I feel like without them, what is this league? And we also know owners are shrewd operators and they make business decisions at the expense of players all the time. And I just want to say this. Had LeBron James emerged and said, I want to play for the Dallas Mavericks, and we know they don't have enough money to sign him and DeAndre Jordan, you telling me you don't think the Mavericks will renege on their deal with DeAndre Jordan to bring in LeBron James? Because I know they would in a heartbeat. So my point is, if the owners and teams are allowed to do such, how am I going to fault a player for also doing what is best for him when he did not sign on the dotted line to join the Dallas Mavericks? Like I said, if there was a better option than DeAndre Jordan, the Mavs will renege on that deal in a heartbeat. And I'm all about player empowerment. So what LeBron James is doing in Cleveland, having Dan Gilbert dish out all this money, going to be paying probably over $100 in luxury tax, I love it. I love to see the players take the power and leverage and use it to their advantage, because without them, there is no NBA. There isn't any pocket in these NBA owners from their NBA team without these great players. So they deserve to have the power, and I don't fault DeAndre Jordan at all. Now, like I said, I can understand why Mavs fans would be upset, and I have no problem with that either. But in all honesty, I could care less about how Mark Cuban feels. But I would like to see his first interview following the news that DeAndre Jordan is now reneged on his deal, because that should be highly entertaining. But overall, I think DeAndre Jordan made the right move. The Clippers were just one win away from the Western Conference Finals last year. We do know the Clippers did sign Paul Pierce and Lance Stevenson, so they also brought in some better players, and that could shift fate with DeAndre back in LAC. Now, the Warriors are still the cream of the crop, and San Antonio is neck and neck with them after adding David West and LaMarcus Aldridge. But DeAndre on the Clippers has a much better chance at contending now than if he would have signed with the Mavericks. Dallas does not have a point guard, and I truly think Chris Paul helped DeAndre Jordan elevate his game and his value in this league. Without a great point guard who's able to dish the ball to DeAndre Jordan, I'm not sure how much effect he will have offensively on any team. I mean, he did shoot 70% from the field, but we all know he shoots from close range, and most of his baskets came from CP3 setting him up for a lot. Chris Paul brings the best out of DeAndre Jordan, and although they had their differences, hopefully this meeting will bring them closer together and this Clippers team can truly contend in the West. I want to see them do well. I never necessarily wanted DeAndre to leave the Clippers. I think it's a great fit, and now, like I said, with the additions of Lance Stevenson and Paul Pierce, they have a much better chance when it comes to getting to the Western Conference Finals or maybe even farther. We know the Truth is another reliable scorer they have. So I like this Clippers team heading into next season. I still think San Antonio and the Warriors are a little bit better, but hey, this is why the season takes place, because we don't know until they get on that court. Now, I do want to say this. I think it would have been right for DeAndre to call Mark Cuban on Wednesday, letting him know that he was not coming to the Mavericks, which he didn't do. Mark Cuban is saying that he didn't answer any of his calls, and I think that's pretty wrong. But in general, I have no problem with DeAndre's decision. I know franchises, they make decisions at the expense of players all the time, so I don't have a problem with the player making a decision at the expense of the franchise for his own happiness. Now, for the Mavericks fans, you all have a right to be upset. I have no problem with your anger towards DeAndre at all. This could possibly set your franchise back 2 to 3 years, maybe even longer, missing out on this player, because now you have the money, the $80 million they gave DeAndre, and now there's no player to go give that money to. So I understand their frustration, as well as Mark Cuban's. But when it comes to Mark Cuban, I just don't care, because I know owners are shrewd business operators. They will cut a player loose in a heartbeat to save money or to bring in a better player. So Mark Cuban, you got to deal with the other side when a player decides to make a decision for himself at the expense of you and your franchise. So Mark Cuban, you lost out on DeAndre. Deal with it.